Have we heard from Teresa?
She's online.
Okay, hi Teresa.
Teresa, can you hear us okay? Just a little sound check here. Uh-oh.
Are we talking to me? I just stepped out of the room. I can hear you.
Good.
Nice.
We're good then. Thank you.
So Teresa already got her work out of the way. Her graduation party was yesterday.
Saturday.
Saturday.
Yep.
They've all already run together, and we haven't even had ours yet. But I have a theory that can improve all of this. We could all just have one big party. And because it was the same people at all the parties pretty much. Or rent a party bus and just the parents can just go from one to the next to the next.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah. Okay, call to order. So I'll call us to order, and looks like.
We're just a few minutes
Few minutes
early.
early.
Oh, are we early? I'm sorry.
Oh, it's 6:27. We might.
I thought the lady recording it kicked it off.
Oh,
So guess
no.
not.
That was just me pushing a button.
Okay, so we'll wait.
That's got no
That's the morning call.
no legal force behind that at all.
Ryan said no, he's working, right? Isn't that right?
Maybe that was just in reply to the July question, though.
I think he was.
He's got something every night. I think they have either softball or soccer tonight. But he's got something every night this week. It's regional tournament week. I wouldn't expect him. Champlain wants a reason for existence.
Yeah, no.
Let it be written in the minutes.
I meant that-
Don't we all though?
I made that joke last time, yeah. I thought I'd as Justin said, I had an existential crisis. This is my reason for existence.
Figure it out yet, Josh?
I'm still working on it.
Yeah, you got time. You got time.
We have children to live and breathe for somebody else. That's what you
Yeah, just keep sawing wood, Josh. It'll.
I don't know. I was listening to the Reverend Adam Hamilton the other day, and I'd throw back to my old Southern Baptist roots. You got to be ready for the rapture at any moment. Okay, just keep that in mind. We gonna get to hear about the summer concert series today? You got anybody lined up?
Yeah.
Yep. Not giving anything away. No, that's for later. It's for later.
Okay,
You
yeah.
know, Comet Marvin is coming in July, right? June, no, July.
I thought you were on top of that, Justin.
I thought it was gonna be kicked off at the 4th of July, or?
4th of July is the
Yeah.
first one,
Yeah, I'm not for sure who that
and then 2 weeks later is Marvin, and then in August is Land Rush.
Land Rush, yeah. And then the last one we're doing with DeSoto Days.
Yeah, and the last one is
Oh, in
city's
conjunction with-
contributing money to DeSoto Days
Oh, cool.
to get somebody for that.
All right, we now have 6:30.
Yes, sir.
We okay? Now I will call us to order. It appears that Ryan and Priscilla are absent. Any others? No mayor today? He must have got mad at me last week. Last time.
He could be watching on the YouTube
Oh, he
video,
might
just
be.
as a reminder.
Let's assume that he is. Always assume
That's
the
right.
boss is watching. Let's see, I think we're approval of the minutes, is that right? Approval of agenda. You guys had a chance to look at the agenda? Oh, my goodness, okay. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as proposed?
Motion to approve the agenda as proposed.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
All right. Justin, you pick. It's, there's a motion and a second to approve the agenda from the, I don't know what meeting, but the last time we met, with a quorum. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Minutes are approved as written. I'm sorry.
Agenda?
I totally messed that up, and this may be my last time to do it. So strike anything I said about minutes and replace that with agenda.
I did.
All right, the current agenda is approved. And so same motion for the minutes. Anybody have anything? I scanned them.
Hmm? I think,
I'm not sure we had a quorum to vote on this.
We didn't have a quorum last time, so there.
well, yeah, we did.
For a second, and then
Oh,
our
we
quorum-
did, didn't
Our
we?
quorum dropped.
It was weird.
Yeah. Okay.
The agenda and the minutes both were passed.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, we got the public comment,
So-
and there was no old business, right?
So we just took a vote on the meeting, just for clarity,
Mm-hmm.
on the very, very brief meeting minutes from last meeting, which were basically, do they even exist?
I don't know if they agree.
No, basically what you guys did was you
We postponed the meeting.
voted again to approve the agenda for this meeting, which had already been approved at the May 3rd meeting. And you approved the minutes that were also approved
Right.
at the May 3rd meeting.
So for
So that's
clarification,
double approval.
yeah, this agenda is really tight.
Very approved.
Right. And the minutes really don't require approval unless there were minutes from the last meeting, which was pretty darn, I guess you would have to have them, but were there minutes from the last meeting?
Well, he started, yeah, but they'll approve them all together and.
Okay, all approved from the last two meetings. Okay, that's what that all said in retrospect. Now we're ready for, is there public comment? Doesn't appear that there's anyone on.
No, the mayor has joined us though.
For the mayor.
Yep.
Mayor, welcome, Mr. Mayor. We're gonna get through this meeting in its entirety. Any public comment from you?
No comment.
Okay. So that carries us to old business, which has no agenda item. Do you guys have anything, staff, from old business that,
Nope.
for whatever didn't get on the agenda? All right, then. That takes us to new business. Advisory Board bylaw review. There are some bylaws in your packet. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to read them. I have not read them in their entirety since he passed them out recently. I have read them before. Did anybody have any idea of what, I know this was on there. But
Yeah, well, the concept was for everybody, kind of, a lot of these agenda items kind of roll together in terms of A, B, and C. So this one is to kind of give an outline of what was decided on a few years ago when the board was put back together. And if there were any questions in terms of if anybody wanted to take leadership roles, kind of what the job responsibilities are. Also talks about regular meetings, special meetings, any notices if we want to do anything different. Quorum, vacancies, compensation, which there is none. Informal action by members,
Intrinsic.
parliamentary procedure. And then it gets into officers, like I mentioned earlier, because that kind of rolls into 7B. So I didn't know, I just wanted to provide this again kind of as a refresher, or even just a startup for some of the ones that maybe got on later. in terms of the positions available and what everybody's roles are, things that people are supposed to be doing in terms of being on the board. So basically, this was informational more than anything, not really intending to change anything. But leading, 7A is leading into 7B with the election of the officers. So that outlines the positions and how all that works and the timing, so.
Well, actually, I see election of officers as Article
Oh, I'm sorry.
Article 5, actually. Oh, nope, Section 4,
Section 4.
election of officers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it talks later. Too busy flipping here.
Where you at, 6-4?
I
Okay.
was just trying to find the outline of the, if you actually go ahead of that. Section 1 of Article 5, officers, you have your chairperson, your vice chairperson, your secretary.
So I noted a couple things in the description of our purpose that kind of strikes true to me. About halfway through that first paragraph of Article 2, notes that the purpose is not intended to take an active role in the day-to-day operations of Parks and Rec, but to be a representative body of city residents that make recommendations relating to policies, facilities, capital needs, budgets, programs, and proposals, and/or decisions on the long-term benefit of the Parks and Recreation Department. More specifically, the board will provide advice on long-range planning to include identifying future needs and opportunities. It will develop, maintain, and recommend to the DeSoto governing body, City Council, I presume, a long-range plan for future development of city parks and other recreational facilities and programming, and will maintain an annual work plan for carrying out these services. Guess what? We're on the ball. We've done a really good job of that
Yeah.
over the past 2 or 3 years, I think,
Yeah.
with the only exception of the fact that our bond issue failed, but that's not our fault. Good.
Ryan?
Oh, hi, Ryan. No ball games tonight?
Tonight might be my one night without something this week. depending on the weather. Yep.
All right, well, good luck. It's a long week.
Yes.
So anyway, is there any comment or question on this? I feel like, thank you, Jay, for providing this, and I feel like actually just reading that alone makes me feel a little bit better about what we have been doing. And if you look back on what we have accomplished over the last 2 years, I think we've done some good things. So, and in line with what the intent was. I don't know. Jay, was that workflow, did it make that I built, did it make the list?
You were gonna bring it with you.
Uh-oh.
You did email it out to everybody.
All right, I'm thinking we might
Oh,
want.
you did put it in there?
I
No,
brought
it's
it
not
up
in the
off
packet, but
Oh,
it would be
okay.
possible maybe to pull it up. Would that be, and
Is it?
when we get to that point?
Is it here?
Yeah, it looks familiar.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep. I don't know if that's where we are yet, but.
Well, if there's
Yeah, that's
any,
really C. Let's
Yeah.
wait on that.
yeah, any questions on the bylaws or anything like that, I think would be if anybody has, and then go on to B.
Here's a question. Is everyone, we're going to appoint officers tonight. Is everyone going to remain on, or is there anything that we don't know?
I am actually moving from DeSoto soon, so we sold our house, so maybe I won't be.
I set that up for you,
Teresa, you
Teresa.
say,
Okay, I knew that in advance. I was laying that out for Teresa because I thought she might want to say that.
Yeah, we sold and are moving, here in the next few weeks.
Boom.
I'm so stressed for her.
Yeah, she picked a great time to do this. Graduation.
It's just so stressful. I'm just
Yeah.
immediately like, oh, I'm so hurt.
She's got a senior graduating too. This is crazy, but congratulations. Okay, so that might be something that we take into consideration when we move forward with the next agenda item.
Well, isn't there, so I don't see it. I remember us discussing like,
Some attendance requirements. Yeah.
Yeah, there's something about
3 consecutive.
3 consecutive. Yeah.
oh,
Where was it at, it's in section 11, removal. There's something there.
there's,
You know, I think maybe we ought to just meet this head on. So we have one member that has had limited attendance and nothing necessarily negative, but I think it's important that we try to have regular attendance here. So perhaps my final responsibility as a board member should be to have a conversation to find out if this is something that she wants to continue to do, or maybe the mayor just made a noise and he wants to do it.
No, I like your idea of the approach from the board chairman. No, I'd be willing to reach out. I don't
I'll
have
do
any
it.
problem at all.
I'll do it.
Just to confirm that.
Yeah. All right, I will report back next meeting on that.
All right.
Okay, done. Are we ready to move on to officers? Or anybody have anything else on bylaws or structure?
I don't think we don't have to re-adopt or re.
No, this was just
only
totally,
if
it
we
was
were
totally
gonna
for
look
review
at change
because
the.
that was something that we'd come up with.
Yeah,
Kind of wanted to discuss, but,
review and reference.
right.
You know,
Okay. So let's move to election of officers. So I planted the seed with Josh quite a while ago, maybe 6 months ago, maybe a year ago. Just when we were playing pickleball in my driveway.
yeah, you're trying to get me.
And so, yeah. That maybe I step away from the chairperson's role and maybe move into an assistant or vice. I feel like sometimes I drive the meeting too much, and I think Josh runs a really good meeting. And plus takes some of the pressure off of me. I haven't been the greatest performer of the last few meetings. But I would like to step away, and I would offer to you that Josh would be a good chair of this commission panel.
Excuse me, did Bill, did your mic get turned off or something? You just.
Oh, it did. I don't. Where did I stop? What's the last thing you heard?
Well, I think I got the gist of it.
I want Josh to take over the chair position.
Okay.
And I would be glad to back him up. If he's not here, I'll be glad to run the meeting. But I would nominate Josh. He's indicated in principle that he would do it. He won't admit it right out here in the public, maybe. but-
Not in the public square. No,
I wouldn't do it.
I will reluctantly accept that nomination. Definitely won't be able to fill the same shoes as you. I think you've brought a lot of value to the meetings. But I'd be happy to run meetings as a chair.
Right.
If the board felt in alignment with that.
Does anyone else want to do it or want to nominate anyone? Teresa? Oh, just. Okay, so unless there's a further nomination, we won't go through all the procedures, but I think I would just put that motion on the floor that we appoint Josh as the chair of our board for this upcoming work year. And he can actually take the meeting over and switch seats with me. If everybody will vote that way. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's seconded. Those in favor of Josh as the chair, say aye.
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 All right. Voice vote passes.
You didn't ask for,
Oh, is Teresa, is anybody saying no? Oh, okay, she said aye. No, I say aye. All right, so that is unanimous.
oh, wow.
That is unanimous among those present that Josh is our new chair of the board, and I would be glad to take on the vice chair if Josh is absent and continue to run the meeting in that fashion, if that's okay with you guys, or not? Okay.
Oh, I gotta.
Somebody's gotta make the
Is there a
motion. I'm not gonna
for
nominate, I'm
vice-
not gonna.
Is there a motion for vice chairperson?
I do it, I do it for Mr. Miller to be continuing as vice.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
chair. Second in charge.
Okay, it's been moved. Oh, and Teresa seconds on her way out. Lame duck second. All right, so those in favor of that decision, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, that passes by voice vote. All right, do we need, and I would hope that we could gather unanimous consent to keep Justin on as our official secretary. He's done such a great job. So I would put that motion forward. Is there a second for
I'll second.
Justin as the second secretary? All right, Justin as the secretary. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that was way unanimous. That was a. All right, so I think that's all we have to appoint. We don't have any money to deal with, so we don't need a treasurer. We don't need a sergeant at arms so far. So let's stick with those three. And I should probably say, this is all just formality because you three guys, staffers, are the ones that really bring us the work, and we just show up and talk about it. So thank you guys for keeping us on task. Josh, you want it? We don't have to change seats.
Yeah,
but
let's not change
you should take
seats.
it.
So I think the next, we're really gonna switch mid-meeting? All right.
We could. That's what they do at big time. They do that at council.
All right. We'll
Yeah,
switch
they do.
mid-meeting.
You ready?
All right,
do
so
it.
let's move to new business item C, work plan
Oh.
discussion.
So we're not switching seats, just.
Let's not switch
roll.
seats,
Okay.
man. I got the name tag here. It's a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Who's kicking this meeting? Like you put together, you put together the
No,
work plan.
but when we
You
get
did
to the
put
work
together
plan,
the
I'll
work
be
plan.
glad to share the work plan.
Yeah, I think that's where we're at, right?
we are.
So we're here at the work plan.
All right, so I
think
need
you
your
did put some
permission.
effort in there. I see some items here that we met several Mondays back, right? We met with Jay and Mike and just kind of laid out what it would look like from a meeting plan for the coming year, and put some structure around what the work year is going to look like for the board. So I think this is that representation.
Yes, it is. I don't know if staff, if you had an opportunity to, I may not have been totally accurate, but what I tried to do when putting this draft together is align what we're doing and what staff is doing with what the city council and staff is doing for the city council as well. So we want to be, in my mind, we want to be like a month or two ahead of when the council discusses CIP. We should have already discussed our recommendations for the Parks and Rec part of the CIP. So it puts us in a cycle just a little bit ahead of them. And then in the down months, that's when we should be looking at programming, maybe looking at our facility needs for the next year, not necessarily capital, but programs, facilities, pricing structures, that sort of thing, fee structures. So this month, for instance, City Council probably has a light schedule, unless there's some special things going on.
Actually, yeah, there's probably some tweaking on the council column that we could do. Generally, by May, the council has begun the budget discussion.
Right.
June is kind of the busiest month for that. And then July is kind of a quiet month for the budget, and then August it gets public hearing and finalized. So by September, the council's done with budget
Budget. Oh, okay, so they approved the budget,
in August.
oh, in August?
Yeah. We
Okay,
might
so-
say, hey, let's just get fancy and all
Look at
track
that.
changes here.
Side by side.
And so for council, that up to here. Budget discussion.
So Jay, have you already started putting budget numbers in front of Mike?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We
I
do-
started that in March.
Right, yeah.
Well, yeah, end of February,
Oh, that
March,
was-
so.
I was way off then.
It's
Yeah.
all right.
Budget approval.
Yeah.
Mary Jo, can you see that? Okay. Oh, I'm glad, where you are right now in September.
Yep.
And remember, guys, this is all just proposal. It's supposed to be a draft, but I thought that that would be a good time for, we need to start talking about bond scope this summer.
Yep.
Probably beginning our next meeting in June.
There, yeah.
And we can have a couple of meetings to discuss scope, which might for us be pretty simple because we've already done it once. But we just need to fashion it back into something that, that we feel like our community will support. And hand that over to the council, hopefully, maybe in September, is that right?
So in the
Or potentially
budget,
August?
so I just threw in here about the bond discussion. I think as we near the end of our budget for 2022, we'll probably pick up that, and I'm not exactly sure when it'll happen, but the council will probably, we should get that in front of the council again, sometime late summer, early fall. So if we can, here at the park board, precede that by a couple months, I think
Yeah.
right on.
Okay.
Yeah, so July, probably by August, probably have our finalize the bond recommendation. Something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
And I think we kind of backed into this, but we're looking at potentially, if we decide to go forward with it, and if the council decides to go forward with it, potentially in April. It's been 2 years since the last attempt. I think we've learned a lot, and obviously a lot of things have changed. A lot of things have changed in that time. So I would also maybe like to ask Jay and Mike to just take a close look at it and give them maybe the leeway to make calendar or schedule changes that make sense with what you guys know is the real calendar. I was totally guessing based just on conversations that we'd had that I might or might not have remembered correctly.
So for this board, probably tonight, in saying that would be concepts. Would you think, going through the different concepts, different things, and then we could kind of make it mesh into a calendar in terms of the board?
Oh, yeah. I thought you were talking about bond.
No.
That bond is for next
Yeah.
time. But
Yeah.
in terms of concepts, yes. If there's anything on here that staff sees or that we see that need to be added, especially something that is annual, but in this case, we've got the bond on there too that's going to take some of our time. So anything that we know that is coming. And I think this is also our time to kind of formulate our priorities. If we really want to do some program evaluation, for instance, then let's decide when we're going to dig into it and let Jay and Justin know exactly what it is that we'd like to dig into and understand. This would be a great time to have that sort of conversation.
I think one thing as I'm looking at it laid out, this is nice to have it all kind of laid out visual here. I was having a hard time following in the meeting. But I think when we look at our purpose and then we look at this, one of the things I don't see, we see the budget, we don't see like anything like a facilities review. I don't know if there's a point in doing that, like talking before budget, just taking an assessment of facilities from the director's point of view, like what are the needs like for improvement and or, are there big maintenance needs? I know you guys are getting into that, but I don't know, just as a representative body, sometimes I think we hear either complaints or things from our friends and neighbors about things that they'd like to see improved or areas of the parks that they're concerned about.
In my mind, that question would be answered during our CIP project review beginning in November. And Mike and Jay, you'll have to tell us if that's soon enough, but maybe we would add a facilities and parks infrastructure review or something at that time, because that's going to be part of our potential, anything that's
CIP.
big is going to get either on the CIP plan or
Yeah.
on some way to fund it.
Yeah.
How about, so I included facilities and infrastructure review in November. I wonder if we should precede that by some sort of an annual review of the Parks and Rec master plan.
Okay.
It's one of the.
That's on there.
Where is it at?
It's on there.
Oh, there it is.
Parks Master Plan,
Yep,
July.
okay, great.
So that may be too soon,
No,
but that's where we need you guys' input
fine.
is.
Yeah, no, July's fine.
And it's not that some of this can't run over into the next month
Yeah.
and, be used as old business.
Yeah, okay.
In fact, it's probably likely that we'll start the discussion and we'll go, well, what about this, Jay? Well, what about that? And you'll go, well, I don't have that information right here with me.
So facility and infrastructure review is kind of in conjunction with the CIP, so I think we just add that for December 2. Put that in both months. Because they're together, right?
Yeah, I think maybe master plan, in my mind, master plan would come before we look at CIP.
Yeah.
So
you want
master
to leave it
plan
in
was
July
in-
then, or do you want to move it to August or September so it's more fresh? Do either one.
I kind of like it, well, of course I wrote it, but I kind of like it the way it is because we'll get the overview of the master plan.
Yeah.
And then we'll go through and look at our programs. Even if it's just lightly, we'll just review, where we are with our programs, which of them cost a whole lot of money, which of them, what the costs are. And then that would naturally, in my mind, bring up, well, yeah, we could, for example, we could have a much bigger soccer program or Frisbee golf program, but we don't have the facilities to do it. That would lead to facility and infrastructure conversations, I think, because that's what we want to do is what kind of programs do we want? Then what kind of facilities do we need to support those programs? As opposed to the other way around.
Yeah.
Let the facilities drive the programming.
Ray, Joe, do you have any input here on this master plan, or Jim?
Well, I just have a question. So, on the capital improvement, so, let me back up. So, because the bond didn't pass this time, we are now, oh, sorry, thank you. Some of the stuff that was on the bond, the previous bond, is now going to CIP, is that correct? I'm going to make sure I understand that right. So some of those,
Yeah.
so then, when we look at starting to prepare the new bond, it will actually be a remaster of the old one, minus the things that are covered by the CIP now. Yes?
Yeah, I think the general thought, just the overall thought was, okay, the bond issue didn't pass. We've got a group of those projects that are already in the CIP,
Okay.
that we're just going to CIP. Really what's left is the trails.
Okay, that's what I was probably, yeah.
CIP already, it's really the trails, and I
Okay.
think the council is that's in their head, at least talking,
Right.
I'll let the mayor speak if he wants to, but I think that's kind of the,
Okay, so it's like the trails, but between now and the time we have the next bond, we may have new things that we want
Yeah,
to.
Correct, and it's we'll have a new look at what kind of revenue we're expecting.
Right.
The city's expecting.
Yeah.
And there may be opportunities for us to mold it a little bit differently, in,
Because that's 2022.
it's not too far off, but by August.
Bond.
April 2022,
think
fleet
so.
bond.
Yeah, that's what's on.
That would be the
calendar.
target.
Yeah, okay.
I think the council's really only talked about it in passing once or twice, and they were pretty aggressive about wanting to get something back. I think they were even talking even this fall.
Okay.
I think that's pretty aggressive.
Would a bond issue go over better in the fall before Johnson County ups the taxes again?
I mean, those are all strategy,
I mean-
policy discussions for sure. I'm guessing it'll go over better if you're not in the panic of an initial stage worldwide pandemic.
Right. So there were several things that happened on our last attempt. One, obviously the pandemic hit, and we were in the world was in panic, literally in panic mode in April when the ballots were due.
Right.
Then two, I agree with you, tax bills came out,
Yeah.
or at least maybe your assessed valuation or something came out from the county right around the same time.
A week before.
Yeah, the assessment values, and everybody was looking at their taxes.
Yeah.
Not we want people to look at their taxes, but timing's everything. And then finally, I think, and this is maybe point of personal preference, but I think we missed an opportunity to really explain what the soccer facilities were, that it wasn't another Garmin or Shields complex, that it was basically 2 fields for our kids to play league soccer at, because we don't have any. And I don't know that, seriously, no offense to anyone, but I think we can do better at explaining to people that this is not a big profit-bearing soccer complex. It's a basic facility for us to run a mid-size community recreational soccer program.
Well.
But we don't even have to worry about that
Yeah,
now.
that's off the position. I think that if the only thing that was going on, not that it needs to be the only thing, but I think that the trails as a standalone have a much higher chance of passing than they did as a combination. That has always been my feeling. And so I really hope that
I think it cuts,
comes to be true.
I think it cuts across demographics. And
Yes.
Just for Mother's Day, it was out, not here. Had to go out to Lee Summit area and went biking on a trail with my mom. But,
Oh, what a good
She grew up. She took me on the trails. We did these there was a start of a little blue trace trail in Independence, Missouri, where I'm from. And at that time, it was only maybe 10 miles when we started doing it. And now it's connected to connects all the way over into Lee Summit. And you've got all these trail networks growing. And you went out there, and it was neat to see. You saw children, older people, people, the weekend warriors. They were a widely used community asset. So I think that they are. I think for a lot of the community, I think that they like the idea of more recreational trails and that.
Yeah.
But soccer's a harder sell because I have a kid in soccer, and of course that's a good sell. But there's a lot of people, in our community, and I hear this a lot. And I think, after 3 years on the board, I finally am getting an understanding of why, our relationship with the school district stuff. So a lot of community members, they say, look at our tax, how much we pay in taxes, which we pay a lot, a higher, I think, assessed valuation for the school district here than other parts of Johnson County. And they why can't they use these fields that we see out there? And what they don't realize is that our parks and recreation department and the school do work closely together. But there are times where this just doesn't line up to where we can both run the same. We have more kids than we have space in certain seasons and certain times to run those programs. But I hear that quite a bit.
Yeah, sorry, I might interject a little bit too. The district does have a whole lot of turf being installed right now, so that partnership might grow. We're sharing those facilities as well, so we're gonna have baseball outfields and softball outfields and turf soccer, and so those facilities are going to be able to be used a lot more than a grass soccer field is going to be. So something else to keep in mind as we talk through everything.
Also, Josh, interesting that you bring up Lee Summit because the 2 meetings ago, I can't remember if it was you, but someone brought up the idea that we want to keep DeSoto with its small town feel. And I think Lee Summit is a great example, especially their downtown and trail system, of a community that has grown pretty large, up to 3 high schools now. I think,
There's a lot of
at least.
people.
And so on the size of a lake, basically. But if you go to their downtown, it still feels like little Lee Summit, you know? And I think that was by design and by plan, and I have no doubt that their parks program is integral to that, and I hope that this body can help drive our parks programming toward really not just park programming, but overall long-range planning for the city to keep that charm and small town feel.
Yeah.
I think there's just connecting our parks
Yeah.
is probably
The big,
first step.
yeah. Just get it all. Yeah. So this is a draft plan, right?
It is.
Yeah. It's not meant to, I mean, this is going to guide our month to month, but it's
Right.
not, it's not scripture and it's not the final say on anything that we're going to do month to month, but it
No,
does
in my
provide a
mind,
guide.
It helps Jay or Mike or whoever's writing
Mhm.
help them with the agenda.
So-
Justin.
Does this need approval as drafted, or like, what do we need to do? Take this back next, or just
We can bring it back for final. kind
for
of a final-
finalization?
Yeah, final approval.
Is the
Again,
overview vague enough in there that, okay, yeah, it says as needed, other things, we can move. Okay, yeah.
I'd really like to see staff, like, take serious time with it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
chew it up and make sure it makes sense, and then bring it back to us and go,
I
okay,
think,
here's what.
I think there's an opportunity to take this, because there's some stuff in here that's, well, the specific stuff about the bond referendum, that won't be every year.
Right.
So maybe we kind of show that in a different font or something.
Yeah, but the next
But
year,
so-
it might be something else.
Yeah.
It might be,
Yeah,
hey, we
but-
really need to look at X.
Right, so that'll be each year, but this can be a framework for each year. A lot of most of this stuff on here is annual stuff.
And Jay, I don't know that you remember 3 or 4 meetings ago, we had some kind of big 3 ideas. And I did not intentionally leave those off, but I also didn't intentionally put them in there. So I would encourage you guys to at least suggest it's in
Okay.
draft form. Jay, if you want to grab it and put your big 3 in there, I think we would be square with
Yeah.
that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what we want.
We should also tweak it, with the cities, the capital improvements plan and with the strategic plan also that the city council updates on a yearly basis. Those are will be 5 years old this year. And so we're intending in the fall to kind of completely overhaul both of those.
Mhm.
I don't know, we're not gonna reinvent the wheel, but we're gonna go back out for public engagement and workshops and stuff on the capital improvement plan. We'll do something similar for the strategic plan. So we need to work that
So
into
that's where,
this fall.
as a board, we can get out ahead of it. And a lot of times, the first people who sit there on paper, kind of get the lead.
Yeah, decisions are made by those who show up.
Mhm.
So show up at those workshops and things like that.
I think what I was wanting to get, what I was mentioning earlier out of this was just a kind of a consensus from the board on that far left column. If everything listed there made sense, if everybody was kind of in agreement with those, and if anybody had any things to add or subtract or whatever, I think, and then, like you guys have been talking about, Mike and Justin and I can sit down and we can go through and tweak it, whatever you want to call it. So that's kind of what I would like to get from you all tonight.
Well, I like that there is a plan. It's always good to have a start plan, even if it veers off. Because then, once you veer, you can always say, okay, let's get back to the thing and not lose track. I mean, just, it's nice to have it there in front of it. It's also nice to be able to not go, oh shoot, I didn't look at tonight's agenda, because you kind of have some kind of a plan. Months in advance of what is gonna be happening, what you're thinking about, and where we are with stuff. Like, yeah, so that's nice. I think it's a good foundation.
Yeah, I agree. So you guys are gonna take this and we'll look at it again next month and chew it up and,
I'd say we go ahead and just get our own board that we all approved it. It kind of gives everybody some buy-in.
We-
It's a formality, but.
yeah.
But if we've approved it, then we can always say, hey, remember we were supposed to talk this month?
Sounds like I hear a motion by Bill Miller. Are you making a motion to approve the work plan as currently
Yeah,
drafted to be
I move
reviewed? Or
to
what do you
table
move?
the work plan pending staff review.
Okay. And
I
then,
really think we're gonna
Okay.
have staff's input on this and bring it back to us with your suggestions, and then let's approve it next meeting.
June meeting or July meeting?
June.
Okay.
June
is
meeting.
that enough time? 2 weeks?
Yeah, that's plenty.
Okay,
He's already done most of it right here.
okay.
Justin's filling it in.
But Jason probably gets to take some of that. Jake, I would specifically ask you to get your 3 big
Okay.
areas in there, and let's make sure we at least touch on it.
All right, moving on to 2022 CIP playground equipment discussion. I think, Jay, you're gonna lead this
Yeah,
one.
something I've been talking about for a while. We've got a list of items in the 22 CIP that I'm trying to slowly pick away at, get some planning done. And some of them, like the playground equipment, you'll have interest in terms of, and you may have interest in other things that I'm not thinking of, but when it comes to a parking lot, I don't know that you're gonna want me to bring, hey, I mean, I can bring you a concept, but I mean, in terms of, I don't know how fired up you're gonna be about the parking lot or, you know, some of those things. So I just thought this was one that, I'll definitely bring it to you. I don't know, it may be more of a reference versus a, hey, let's sit down and talk about this parking lot. So, Mike gets fired up about it, but most normal people do not, so.
There are so many options. Do you want straight lines? Do you want diagonal lines?
I don't know.
How many-
No fly ash.
Careful now.
How many handicap spots?
Well, maybe I should bring the parking lot to the board for discussion.
I think everybody's just making fun of me, Jay.
Oh, okay, okay. Hey, I never know. All right, so Mike, if you want to kind of scroll, keep going. That's kind of what I'm doing is I've been working with AB Creative, a local company here in town, and with Zach Heron, and we've had, I think, 3 meetings over the past few months. Cuss and discuss. I throw some stuff at him. He throws it back at me. I throw it at him. Throws it back at me. That type of thing. So yeah, if you'll stop right there at that one. So basically, with Miller Park, the concept was to get a little bit younger with with the structure. Most of everything we have down there is 5 to 12. Also, wanted to incorporate. We have some music components down there. You can kind of see top left. There's 4 musical components there, more interactive, and then there's a play panel. That structure you see on the top left is a 2 to 5, more geared towards the younger kids. There's also a Comet Spinner, which is kind of centered there in the blue. That is actually one that we have in our possession now. We had what was called a jump to it. We've had to replace the spring 3 or 4 times in warranty. Now they're saying they didn't want to replace it, so it'd be creative. Nice enough to give us that in replacement. We haven't installed that because we're still kind of master planning that area. You've got a different type of swing. I can't remember the name of that.
The one with the Spider-Man in it?
Yeah, saucer. Yeah. And then also within our existing swing sets, we wanted to incorporate. I apologize, I don't know all the fancy verbiage, and
They're inclusive.
inclusive swings. So those pieces would go to the north end of the park where we have kind of there's an older slide there. There's a bus. You just basically sit in the bus. So those would be removed and replaced with what you see, because that's basically where those kids are kind of running. That's symbolizing the sand area, that's sand play area that's down there with the digger units and the little dinosaur. If you guys can picture that. So Mike, if you'll go up just a little, and yeah, that spinner right there would replace the dome. If you guys can picture that. Yep. And that's a more inclusive piece right there. Does spin, can climb. Number wise, you're looking at, I mean, if you see the picture in the packet, which would be, I think, go down a couple, Mike, maybe a couple pages. Yeah. One more, maybe. Yep. Keep going. Sorry. Right there, that Rev 8. So that's basically what I think it's like a 20 kid or something like that. So you get some more inclusive, you get the spinning, you get the climbing, you get all the different types. There's the saucer, the chimes, the drum, I'm not musical, so
You might end up going down there and playing the drums.
don't get on to me if I use the wrong verbiage here, but the cavatina. So the idea was to get more inclusive and get younger, and that's kind of what we've been working towards. So that's the basic concept for replacement at Miller Park. Obviously, it's a work in progress. Go ahead and keep going, Mike. Keep going. Okay, there you go. Okay, a little bit different attack. That's a strong word, but concept for Riverfest. We currently have that Burliner piece down there that kind of the cube looking with the slide that's existing. And we have swings that are adjacent to that, if you can picture that. The idea is to stay more adventurous, I guess, with the equipment down there, to give a little bit different, maybe meet a little bit different type of kid and what they want to do. Or, I mean, honestly, you're going to see adults down there too, which you do at Miller. But the idea of climbing, using leg strength, arm strength, all sorts of different types of things. So you would work your way from the existing piece around to a platform where then you would be able to I apologize, bear with me here a second.
So you go from the transfer net.
Yep.
To the vertical climber.
Yep.
To the cables, back to the smaller net.
Yep, climbing rope, yep. So you work your way all the way around.
Jimmy, you've got my two with their approval.
Oh, okay. And then you go to what I was writing the right terminology. They call that a speedway. It's basically a zip line.
Okay.
It's basically a zip line.
Can we empty that out into the river itself?
Yeah, probably not. So the thing that I'm running in, the thing that I'm running into right now is I went a little crazy and went with a 100-foot run on that. I may have to back off. Part of the issue is price, but also your fall zone for the existing swing set would impede the fall zone for the zip line, and you have to have two separates on that. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of tweaking on that. Or there is the idea that we could move that swing set, which, granted, I don't want to because that's more money. But if we decide we want to do that longer run, there is room to move that swing set a little bit to the south and to the west which would get out of the use zone of the speedway. So if you look at numbers too, what we had set aside, and yes, I'm over, $60,000 for each. But one thing that we were gonna do is gonna probably, I'm sorry, that was a 75-foot run, not a 100-foot run. There's $11,000 in there for excavation, which I think we can do in-house if that's something we want to, in terms of basically excavating out the run of the zip line and making it ready for mulch. I mean, which
That's
we
what I
have the
was
equipment and personnel to do that. I would like to stay out of us doing as much as possible in these CIP projects. So I'm gonna have to massage this a little bit, but that one is like $11,000 to do that. I mean, that kind of got me, and you know, I think it makes sense. It wouldn't take a day to take a dump truck down there and a skid steer and just start removing some earth. So that's one that I think we'll look into a little bit further. So I still have a little more massaging to do, but I want to kind of give you some concepts of what we're kind of looking at. So
I have a couple of questions.
Mhm.
So we have that inclusive swings. Is any of the equipment like wheelchair, except like this shows the wheelchair, but it doesn't look like there's anything that's low enough that the wheelchair could run up to? And don't we already have one swing that is literally a wheelchair, not accessible, but usage swing, or am I thinking of something else? Okay, so we don't.
unfortunately, we do not.
Okay.
We do not. That like the mulch is
Makes it-
ADA certified.
Yes. But there's not something that a child can maintain.
Correct.
Stay in a wheelchair and use.
Correct.
Does a Baby Creative offer something like that?
They do. You get a little pricey when you get into that, and I can talk to them a little bit more. We did look at that. The idea of the thing that Zach was talking about with me was more of the ability, not just that, but also the ability to transfer. I guess if that's possible, which some kids in wheelchair, yes, some kids
Yes,
in wheelchair,
right.
no. But at a minimum, providing something that transfer to the piece of equipment
Right.
it is available. We talked about, you know, even with that saucer swing,
Yeah.
you can get, and I'll have to talk to him again about that, about where you are physically in your chair,
Right.
and it's a swing.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that would be. And then on the hands-on stuff, which, by the way, can I just tell you how much I love the 2 to 5 year old
yeah.
thing? But do you know if like the hands-on stuff, so like the instruments and then
Mhm.
like the play panel,
mhm.
is it is there braille for kids who are
I don't
vision impaired?
think there was, but I can talk to him about that.
Okay. Some of them, I've seen them.
There are some
It's just
panels
like,
that
it's
do.
automatic now. Some of the panels and playgrounds they just automatically come that way because
Right.
then they really truly are inclusive of all.
Right, right.
Um,
Some of the panels that they make are, I hate to say worthless, and they cost a bunch of money. I mean, it's,
Mhm.
okay, you grab this thing and you pull it down. It's like, okay, what's the point of that?
Right.
So when I talked to him, I said, you know, we want to make sure we have some panels that are actually, maybe
interactive.
some interactive and
Right.
some learning involved
Right.
versus
Or at
just.
least cause a sensory.
Yeah, I was gonna say sensory.
Yeah.
The sensory thing
Yeah.
is important. So that's why
Yeah.
I was thinking.
Yeah.
You know, for the kids that are, you know, obviously we have some great things for the sounds. I love the musical instruments, but you know, we do have kids that are
I have seen
visual.
a platform swing for a wheelchair.
Yeah.
I don't even remember if it was at mine or if it
I think it's at the elementary school, right?
Maybe the
Maybe
elementary
it's at
school
the,
does, but I thought
it was
maybe
the
we
Star
did it as
Side,
part.
maybe.
Is there-
Seems like I've seen one too.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I would, yeah.
so
school,
those would be my
yeah.
questions. I
Yeah.
like, you know,
Okay. Yeah, I'll talk to him.
okay.
Hey Jay, What's the budget here? I forget.
60,000 for each. Well,
Oh, for each?
yeah.
No, what did we say we were gonna spend on Miller Park? What did the CIP say we were gonna spend on Miller Park and,
Riverfest
Riverfest
for
Park?
playground equipment?
Yeah, for playground.
Yeah, 60 each.
60 each.
Yeah.
We can probably do one purchase, right? One project.
Most likely.
Yeah.
We don't have to, but.
So I just wondered about the delivery process.
What do you
I
mean?
don't think we can single source any creative one. I think we're gonna have to get some prototypes out.
No, we can.
Oh, through the cooperative.
Through cooperative purchasing, through Greenbush. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Great, I like it.
Yeah, that's who the school has used. That's how they've done it through
My
Greenbush.
experience on the Greenbush purchasing is that you might save a little bit, but where you save big is the cost of having to have somebody come out and design it so that you can actually bid it.
Yes.
So, that and staff time.
Yeah.
Is well worth,
Well,
person quality.
When I first started talking to Zach about it, I don't know if Mike, if you've used Greenbush, I'm a little somewhat familiar with it, not greatly familiar, but in talking to Zach, he's the one that was kind of pushing that because I brought up the idea of, we want to shop local, they're here in town, that type of thing, and then there are so many different playground equipment providers out there, companies, and being able to do apples to apples would be
Yeah.
nearly impossible because you could get company A and company B, and it could be similar, but or one product inferior to the other, who knows? So, I'm hoping to be able to go that route.
What was it?
Greenbush,
Okay, that's the cooperative.
Cooperative.
Education consortium.
Right.
yeah,
Okay, I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah.
But we do the cooperative purchasing on
We
a
also
regular
do
basis.
community-
Sourcewell is the big one.
yeah.
Mid-America Regional Council has a similar. We're well versed in doing that.
So what I found about that is the people that are large enough and organized enough to be able to bid on those like massive cooperative bids, usually pretty solid companies, but sometimes it's not all that competitive because only a few
Right.
actually bid on it.
Right.
So you don't really get, you would think out of a huge cooperative purchasing consortium, you get super duper pricing.
No, no.
It's not fantastic,
Right.
but it's better than going to trouble of having somebody design it and paying them. You
Yeah.
don't get
Right.
except for Mike, you won't get an engineer out of his office for less than $2,000.
Exactly, yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Any other discussion here on these items? What do we, on these, like, you're just looking for input at this point.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Ryan, Teresa, you got any input? Ryan, input? I think Ryan, you said your kids like it. Anything else?
They were climbing all over me here when we walked by and saw the pictures.
What were they most excited about?
Yeah, I mean, and then I was trying to focus, but it was kind of hard to hear. Jay, you said it's gonna be mulch under everything?
Yes. Yeah, we would continue with the engineered wood fiber mulch. Yep.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, engineered. Yeah, I'm assuming turf or like the rubberized surfaces will drastically.
That would be really nice.
Yeah.
Line there.
Because the mulch has to be a certain depth, right?
Yes.
Underneath all the
Yeah.
equipment.
Yeah. Well, and all the materials do. It's just different depths. Yeah. I mean that's kind of what's the cart and what's the horse a little bit in terms of your surfacing. I have taken the method of continuing with the engineered wood fiber in order to get new or updated playground equipment versus having surfacing and very little playground equipment financially. So,
Does it pay?
if we had $300,000-$400,000 to do everything, then I wouldn't be against going in and doing some more permanent surfacing and being able to get some additional playground equipment. But that surfacing is just, if you get your pour in place or those type, which is the way I would want to go if I were to change. I don't really like the rubber pellets. I would go with the pour in place, but
I have an opinion on that as well. From my school days, first of all, you could probably replace or at least refresh the mulch almost every year for 10 years for the cost of, artificial surface. Probably maybe 20.
yeah, turf is another
Yeah.
one, and I'm not as familiar with that, Ryan. But yeah, turf is another one that they're starting to use. I mean, just like fields, turf has become the answer to sports fields, to putting under playground equipment, to putting in your own yard, to all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I was thinking too, if the CIP takes care of some of the bond things that we've been discussing over the last 6 months, maybe that surface is something that can get thrown into a new bond on a tiered system or something. Yeah, just a thought.
Yeah.
I do know that there's a company in Olathe that's selling pieces of the Chiefs turf. For people. No, and my daughter actually is buying it for her little tiny backyard.
Huh.
I was like, what? But yeah.
Huh.
If you don't mind the lines, it's okay.
Yeah. We get charged then, right? Since it came from the Chiefs.
It was super cheap. I was like, what? That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but her yard's really good.
Well, I personally think you're on the right track there. It sounds like the board is thinking you're on the right
Well,
track.
going
too.
back to the Riverfest before we go
Yeah.
too far, I don't know if you remember during the master planning, we talked about some type of adventure park.
Yeah.
You remember that? There was a concept of maybe going over to Widow Big Knife in that area or something that would get, people into town, kind of like the ropes course or something like that. I hate to say we're probably not going to get there. But this is maybe as close as maybe we can get at this point to something that is a challenging.
Is this big enough? I mean,
type
is it
of
strong
thing.
enough to hold big kids?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
oh yeah.
Isn't that?
And I mean, like my husband.
Yeah, it's a very stout structure.
That one structure, that centerpiece has been there for a while now, right?
Yeah, 5 years maybe.
I think my kids were still kind of quasi kids when that first was there.
Yeah.
How's that hold up? Because I was wondering that when that came in, does you have to do a lot of maintenance on that? It's just rope and holds up good.
It's fairly
Okay.
easy. Yeah.
Okay.
Knock on wood. I probably shouldn't say that. But
And I remember my kids would make me nervous, man. They'd be at the very top.
yeah.
Get
Yeah.
stressed
Yeah.
out. But so will we have the longest with that run? Will we have the longest one in Western Johnson County? Could we make a claim with that zip line longest? Is there bragging rights that we could possibly
I don't
pull?
know.
No.
The other thing we talked about was if we really wanted to, would be to turn that and run it towards the river.
So you'd have the sensation of
So
being
you would-
going toward the river.
Well, somewhat.
That is just a dare.
Somewhat.
Well, this looks pretty fun for that kind of.
But what I'm trying to do is and that's something I'll need to bring back to you guys, but the long-term master plan of Riverfest Park, that does not fit very well. The playground equipment was kind of in that corner somewhat where it is. And if I run that thing straight north, we're getting in the master plan that was done in 2006. Some small pavilion, small shelter, some paths, some, different things like that. So where I have this laid out is within kind of the confines of the master plan that was done in 2006. Not saying we can't change that, but.
Okay. All right. It looks cool.
This looks really cool and very exciting.
Well,
Ooh, but I like this.
Yeah, that's perfect.
That's really all I needed was some feedback
Input.
and some input. And I'll get with Zach and with what Mary Jo had expressed and see what we can get worked out. And like I said, I'm still trying to peck away at some of the other things. Working on the kind of the security lighting project at Riverfest, which may excite you, may not. Trying to get an architect / engineer on board for the adding on to the restroom concession building at Miller Park and doing some work on that. Also the parking lot, which come to find out tonight excites you guys.
Just some of them.
I think it's mostly Ryan wanting crooked lines down there, but, hey, we can have your kids come, we want, oh, dang, okay. I was just gonna see if give your kids a spray can and just come down and put the lines in.
Outsource it.
But there are a couple other items that, I'm trying to, right now is busy with the pool and ball and all that kind of stuff. Once we can get everybody going and out the door, I'll be able to breathe a little bit back on that stuff, so.
Well, this sounds like a really great start for sure. It's exciting to see some improvements for the little peoples.
I like it.
Okay.
All right, well, you kind of covered staff reports last time, but is there any updates, or do you want to just blast through them, or do we want to?
Sure, we could.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, just for, I think, Ryan and Bill's sake, and just go through them. I think that's where
Go ahead, Mike, on
Yes,
A.
on the drainage project, I think it was in April, I gave a pretty detailed kind of description of the initial findings and the direction we're headed. Took that to the council last week, or 2 weeks ago. They approved the phase 2 design for that, which is actually the design of the drainage pipes and the actual work. So the engineer is engaged in that now, and we hope to be able to finish that up by, sometime in August, maybe toward the end of August, and have a bid and still have that for the fall construction. So really, I think at the last meeting here, we talked about impacts to this playground area and things like that. There will be. We're routing the new storm sewer pipe through that area. So there will be times we'll have to fence things off and sign things. That was it on that.
Probably wasn't any change in the land acquisition.
Well, yeah, actually, there was.
Oh,
Today, they had their hearing. Patrick, our city attorney, sent an email late this afternoon. Basically, my understanding is that the seller now has a clear title
Yeah.
to the property, and he is going to be getting with the property owner to work on a closing date.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Is that is sort of a probate hearing, I guess, and so those things just take a year, and so it's about the way it turned out.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we've cleared, I guess we've cleared a hurdle, I guess you could say. So now it's just getting all the documents signed and money exchanging hands and go from there.
Yep.
So Patrick didn't indicate really a time frame to me in terms of how quickly that would
No, me
happen,
either. I would think 30 days probably.
but yeah.
Sometime in there.
In the CIP plan, that funding is a 2023,
That's 2022, you guys.
or is it
started-
23 to start on the soccer fields.
That's what I was
Oh,
thinking.
I thought they were gonna start grading them in 22.
23.
Yeah, 23.
You know, if you want to talk to city council about that and
Moving it up.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Budget.
Paul,
I tell my son there'll be nice new soccer fields when he's done with soccer.
Yep. Yep.
I bet he'll say, I remember that was just a field.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Programming wise, I kind of mentioned just a little bit ago, but we're still pecking away at getting the pool and everything ready out there. It's a long drawn out process. We're getting closer. We have to be getting closer. Plan on opening the Saturday before Memorial Day. Plan is to pretty much open full bore. We are limiting a little bit this year the special events. We're not planning early on to do any of the free days that we've done in the past. Just to control the amount of people a little bit, in hopes that maybe at the end of the year, if things get better, we can offer that. There's still, I think, one in June and one in July. We're planning 4 special events. The couple night swims, and then July 4th, we always, I say always, I can't say always anymore because last year we didn't, but have some games and gimmicks and different things that Justin does with them that he offers out there. So one thing with the swimming lessons, we're still doing, we did this last year and this year we're continuing. Obviously with parent taught, parents in the water. Level 1 and level 2 this year as well as last year, parents are involved in those lessons because those are very hands-on, physically hands-on, and didn't want to put our instructors and or any other kids or whoever's involved in a position where they felt uncomfortable with kind of where we're at. So it's ruffled some feathers, I guess you could say, and because a lot of parents don't want to get in. But hopefully 2022 we're back to 2019. But we did continue that for this year. Plan is with concessions to go full out like we did in 19. I don't think one thing with staff, at least at this point, and this is all kind of as things change, we adapt. But your front desk and your concessions, when they are interacting with the public, masks, still looking at masks, that may change. When guards are on break in the guard room, all packed in there together, at this point, we're still requiring masks. Outside, not in a building, in a room, we're not requiring anything.
Are you guys fully staffed with lifeguards?
We knock on wood, yes.
Some friends in Roland Park who said they're not going to open because they can't hire lifeguards. I'm like,
So yeah,
Yeah, Lawrence too, they're delaying their opening. Yeah,
Really?
everybody's having trouble. We
I'm like,
lucked
it's not
out.
like. It's not like
Justin-
it's
Well-
it's important to be a lifeguard, but I'm like, okay, so like, these kids don't want to work. What the heck?
you answered your own question right there.
Yeah.
You answered it.
Justin does a good
Justin's
job
a
of
great
Yeah,
recruiter.
because that's what I
Yeah,
said. I
it
said,
is.
well, I think we're fully. I don't know, not the brown, but I can just say
making it cool.
it'll be fine.
You gotta make it cool to be a
I
lifeguard.
guess. Or maybe you need more people like me, or like, oh, you're working.
Well, yeah, that's
You're
part of
working
it.
Or you're walking.
And I think part of it is, he does a good job with the staff, and then they'll pass the word down to the next group. Hey, it's kind of fun to work. You make some money, it's fun to work there, and they keep. And then if you get, Mike and I were discussing this earlier, if you get a kid or two that say, okay, they commit themselves to working there, well, they're buddies with whoever, then okay, I'll work there too, and then
But he's tapped into good kids.
Yeah, that's good.
Those are good
That's
kids.
good.
the one thing I am struggling with is baseball umpires.
Is what?
Baseball umpires.
Oh, I
Yeah.
can't help you with that.
I have.
Did you get any more in the past week or so?
I haven't gotten any. I had 6 high school kids last year, and none of them want to do it this year.
I think they don't want to deal with the parents, man.
That's part of it. I think that's part of it. A couple of them were just kind of there. I mean, I hate to say that, but they were just kind of there.
If kids are playing club ball, do they have time to umpire?
Some,
Yeah, one night a
Some.
week probably.
yeah.
Because it's mostly weeknight stuff and most of
Yeah.
the club ball stuff.
They play on the weekends,
They play on
Friday,
the
Saturday, Sunday mostly. Well, mostly.
Yeah, they might have a practice or a league game.
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
get them one night a week.
Yeah. I did get, well, we'll see. I think a few girls that play softball at Johnson County Community College. I can't talk them into doing baseball games, but so on that side, it looks at this point like I'm gonna. It'll work itself out, I think. But so baseball and softball, they're practicing in t-ball. Games start June 1. We moved them back this year. I think we talked about that before. After Memorial Day,
When does school get out?
right before Memorial Day.
So it's what,
The elementary kids are right before, isn't it? 28th.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you should know.
Yeah, it's May 20th.
Okay.
It's test.
My wife is the one that really knows, but
Yeah.
I'm aware of this thing.
Yeah. So soccer's done.
Baseball numbers pick up at all?
Yeah, we're definitely more than last year,
Okay.
and we're actually a little more than 19.
Okay.
So because I didn't play last year, I want to play this year, or we don't know the answer, but there is more interest than there was last year, obviously, and a little bit more than there was.
Parents are like, get out.
That's what I was wondering if that's what it was. So I don't know that 20 and 21 are true numbers. 22 will be more true numbers.
Close back to.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
in that swim team?
Yeah.
That's going on, or what that
Yeah.
starts and numbers on that, is that kind of increasing, same as before? Or, 'cause that's a relatively new program, right? It's like 3 years old.
4.
About 3 or 4 years
Three or
old
four?
now, yeah.
Okay.
So with the, I should thank you up there.
Yeah, if you could, sorry. Yeah.
So with the bridge being out, there's 3 or 4 families that live north of the bridge that aren't planning, that aren't going to swim this year, which encompasses about 8 kids.
At least.
At least 8 kids, yeah. But our numbers overall, they're decent. A lot of young kids, which is, I guess, good for the program. So, but less than last year, which is kind of surprising, just because I think last year was a lot of friends that were like, "Oh, I want to do this just because there's nothing else to do or something." So,
Yeah.
but
About 30.
I think we have like 28 right now.
Well, that's not bad.
So,
Okay.
but a lot of young ones though, for sure. So it's gonna be good for the program in the future for sure.
I think that's, unless we're forgetting something, I think that's where we're.
Any questions?
Any new adult activities happening?
There you go. Yeah.
No, unfortunately.
You started playing pickleball yet?
Yeah,
You're back?
yeah. I haven't played here for a couple of weeks because I hurt my back lifting that kitchen
What
cabinet.
did Bill say? Did Bill say synchronized swimming?
Are you offering to instruct?
Right, good.
Justin would be all over that.
Yeah, I don't think I'm taking that class. No, we're having a hard time. Jazzercise fills a pretty big need here with the fitness classes. And in the past, we've been a roller coaster in terms of staff. We've had 2 or 3 really good instructors over the years. One moved on us, which we told her she couldn't, but she did. Another one was having some health issues. It's hard to find somebody here in town or at least close because DeSoto is so far away from Shawnee and Lenexa and everything. So it's been a struggle, at least on the fitness side of things. But no, unfortunately, we haven't been able to add any adult stuff.
The pickleball clinics would be cool. Because we have new rules and not everybody understands or knows, but they want to know the rules, the new rules.
The new rules?
To go along?
No, well, it depends on where you play. Here, sometimes we do and it's okay, but if those people play somewhere else, it is not okay.
Yeah.
I can say that was not okay. I'm like, I know.
And it kind of depends on depends on who's here too. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that would be nice. I know if we could do something like that.
It's definitely popular.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole new group of people. It's great.
There's been, I don't know, there's probably been at least over the last year, I've seen probably a dozen different faces from time to time.
Yeah,
So.
one Sunday I think it was me and Roxanne were the only 2 original people, and there were 15 people or 12 people there, and I didn't know anybody else, which is great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Are you out until August? Even with that? Okay. I'm sorry.
I gotta get up there.
Yeah.
I want to start.
You
playing.
gotta get it, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It
Get up
is
there.
a lot of fun.
It is.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good. It's good to hear all these updates. Seems like things are positive. It'll be exciting to see the Aquatic Center open back up. Oh, you talked about the event things. One thing I'd love to see if we get dog day at the end of the year. That makes
Yes.
my whole summer is going up there.
Yeah,
And I know
we-
you guys probably hate it. I don't know if you like it or hate it, but man, I love seeing dogs just running around playing.
I'll plead the 5th, but yes, we are going to do it again.
Yeah.
Unless you see those little dog.
Yeah.
I hate that part. But yeah, that is fun.
That's a fun one. But all right. So next meeting, I think we're coming back to the work plan, right? For old business.
What's it say, Jay?
And then the new business would be.
Mike.
I can't read that.
It says.
New member on board. And we got new members.
Oh, I just said that as if we.
If we did have a new
Right.
member.
If
all
we
right.
had any new members.
Yeah.
We might.
Not in June, we won't.
No.
All right. So we'll review the park master plan. How are we going to do that? That's a huge document. What's the thought?
That's your job.
Oh, I don't think that's a one. First of all, it's not a one meeting thing.
Okay, it's 2B.
But I think it's something that maybe, I hate to put a bunch of work on staff, but this should be your driving force. So I'm thinking maybe Jay breaks it up into small chunks that we think we can handle in a meeting and say, you need to tell us what you need from us regarding
Jim,
the
you
master
got
plan.
this
We
thing?
need to touch it. We need to look at it.
I think Jim needs one. Anybody else? Do you got your
Bring
2008?
yours?
I bring it with me every meeting. No, not every meeting,
That's
but
why
I
he's the
did.
president.
I did. I reference it once a week.
Mine-
But I mean, do we have extra copies of these, or I guess we could get it in PDF format? But there's a lot. I know that there's a lot of effort put into.
Is it on the website?
Yes,
It's on the it's accessible on the
it
website.
is. You have one, don't you?
I've got
You got
Don't
one.
ask me where it's at.
You don't. Would you want one in print form, or are you okay with reading off
Prince.
Probably print.
print? Okay.
It's a lot to try to do on PDF.
Yeah. No.
Ryan, you don't have a pop copy of the master plan, do you? Okay.
And
That would be nice if we're going to talk about that at meetings to actually have it in your hand, highlight, and make little notes or whatever, instead of trying to do it online.
hard copies for everyone except the president.
I got mine.
The chair.
I have
Save the
one. I know
trees.
where it's at. It's in my office.
I'm just trying to think time-wise now. Because
we're
we've
only
only
2 weeks
got
out
2
then.
weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got 2 weeks. So I think the biggest thing would be Mike and I going through the work plan, what I think would be the number one task on our end. What do you want in budget-wise? What are you thinking there?
Oh, I just thought that would be a good time before, and of course I didn't, when does it go to council? When does your budget go to council?
We've
Pretty
been
much already
discussing-
there.
Yeah, we've been discussing.
All right, so you got to move that to a different month. This was more generic. But I did think that maybe we could help support you in your budget requests.
Yeah, that's going to have to move up.
But we don't need to do it
Yeah,
this year. We can do it next year.
Or I guess move back, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if you want to note that, Mike, but that's going to
We
have to
probably want
move.
to put that in April.
No, probably February.
Very probably. Yeah.
Yeah, February. Because you've got master plan, you've got bond scope discussion, and you've got, so I'm just thinking timing wise, because like I said earlier, trying to get, this next 2 weeks is going to be a bear just getting everything together programming wise, and umpires and people and.
All right, how about this? How about trying to take a little bit of a load off of you? Obviously, we need to talk about, start at least talking about, certainly take budget off. We're going to move that back up into February at some point. Or move it to next February. Yeah. Jay, what if you just kind of gave us a review or an overview of the master plan?
Okay.
Maybe highlight some of the things that have been implemented since it was approved, and maybe highlight the items that are in your mind next on the list? You know? And let's just say we're not going to spend more than, for next meeting, we're not going to spend more than 20 minutes on it. And if we have other things and we want to take over to the, to the July meeting,
Okay.
fine. Because it's on there.
And then the bond? Kick that to July?
I think we can do both. Honestly, from the discussion that we had today, I don't know that,
Okay.
I mean, I think,
Maybe the bond scope discussion we would have would just be, are we in alignment that we're really just gonna kind of focus in on the trails or not?
Right.
And then
Right.
maybe a review of what, I don't know if we need to get into a review of what trails it was, or we could look in July and like
Right.
refreshing our brain and what the plan was and if we need to tweak that plan. Cause there were
think it's-
some people that had comments about, why this trail here versus here. So maybe we might want to.
we probably ought to get that fresh in our minds
Yeah.
again if we're going to start talking about it in the community.
I think if we're gonna kind of put a bow on the agenda for the next meeting, what we typically would do is we'd call Bill a week before, say, hey, this is what we're thinking, just kind of
Yeah.
coordinate that.
Okay.
So Josh, maybe that kind of a monthly thing, the week before, we're coordinating kind of the agenda with you. Because remember, the first thing on the agenda is this work plan. So I don't want to get too far into,
Gotcha.
because Jay and I, we all need to sit down with the
Yeah, you guys see
council
what you can actually
calendar and tweak this whole thing. So I don't know that we need to set the agenda
Okay.
tonight for the next meeting, but.
Okay. What says next meeting agenda discussion on the agenda?
Yeah, right, I know. Why don't you take
And we
All right,
discussed
we're
it.
discussing. We don't have to
We
set it.
discussed it.
All right,
We
we've discussed it. Let's move on. All right, so now we're at the adjournment. That was traditionally my
I would
role.
like to make a motion.
I second that.
Do I hear a second? I hear a second from Mary Jo. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Okay.
So as a reminder, Teresa, this is it, right, or not?
Is that it for you, Miss Teresa?
Yeah, this is it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good luck.
So now we're down to 5.
This conference is
I
no
know, we
longer
all have to
being
be here.
recorded.
We all have to be here,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.